Complain to me pretending to be a patient's father? Well, let's involve her parents then. I used to work at a very nice private hospital where the place looked like a hotel. The food was great and the service unrivaled. We were voted best private hospital in the country quite a few times and all around. People were happy and the care was great. The nurses were mostly old school, stern but very passionate about patient care, with no time for anything that stops them from doing their job. My job was to focus on marketing and complaints. And TBH, I didn't have a lot of work on the complaints side, but every now and again something would come up. If there was an incident, the RNs would usually come and warn me to expect something and give their side of the story. One morning, as I got to work, a RN was waiting at my door to update me on an incident the previous night. There was an 18-year-old patient who had a small op, but was prone to dizziness and fainting. Now, slip and falls are a big thing in hospitals and these incidents get monitored very closely. Since she was a slip and fall risk, they moved her to a private room right in front of the nurses' station so that she can be monitored throughout the day and night. One night, the tattoo-clad, older nurse's description, 20-something boyfriend comes to visit, and forgets that this is in fact a hospital and not a hotel. Old school. Stern nurse realized something is amiss when the room's doors were closed and, after she pushed the door open, the curtains around the bed was drawn too. Seeing the privacy takes second priority to a patient's healing and safety in a hospital. Old school nurse wasn't having any of this. She pulls the curtains open, pulls the boyfriend out of the hospital bed and gave them both a talking to. Tattoo boyfriend left soon afterwards, apparently furious that his evening was ruined. Sure enough, 2 hours after the nurse visited my office, I get a mail from patient's father, detailing how his daughter's privacy was invaded the previous night, how she had a private conversation with her boyfriend, and how they were unfairly treated by a nurse. I was surprised that an older gentleman would write an email to a hospital with so many spelling errors and complete lack of punctuation. But the email address, something like tattooguy@gmail, was a total giveaway as to who the real author was. Now, technically, I was just able to reply on the email, detailing our experience and side of the story. However, sharing private patient information on an email to an unconfirmed email address is bound to get me in serious trouble. So, I did what any sane, and perhaps slightly malicious person would do. I called document control and asked them to pull the email address on file for me. This happened to belong to her mom. I forwarded the email to her, mentioning that I received the following email from her daughter's father. But since she is the contact person on file and we need to stick with the people that we have permission to contact, may she be as kind as to share our response with him? I then detailed what the nurse told me about the patient being a slip and fall risk that requires constant monitoring, about the boyfriend visiting, about the door and curtain being closed, and the nurse catching them in the hospital bed together. I apologized on behalf of the nurse for invading their privacy, but explained that open doors are protocol to ensure a patient's safety, and our main priority is getting a patient safe, healthy and back at home as soon as possible. I ended the mail with my contact details and invited her to contact me if she has any further questions. Well, if the parents didn't know about the incident, they knew now. I am told the daughter was well behaved for the remainder of the time, and the boyfriend didn't stop by once during the rest of the patient's stay. So, lessons learned. Don't include your parents' details on your hospital file as your main contact details if you don't want them contacted. Don't try and catfish a hospital employee and respect a hospital for what it is, a place of healing and not a hotel. TLDR. 18-year-old and boyfriend were caught going at it in her hospital bed. Then boyfriend emails hospital to complain about incident, telling us he is the patient's father. We respond to his claims via the email address on file, which happened to belong to patient's mother. Whoops. Coworker of mine about 25 years ago was married to a nurse. She told us about the floor staff having to have a husband removed from the hospital cot in the act with his hospitalized wife. In the hospital room. In the hospital bed. The wife was in postpartum recovery. I wonder what the actual dad had to say to Tattoo Dude. It honestly reminded me of this old video. Clearly the boyfriend got his strategy from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Because you're, of course, not tech-savvy enough to look at the email address. Dimwits. Outstanding move. Quote.
Fafo.
Nothing malicious about that. I'd hope anyone involved in patient care would do that same. While giving birth in a hospital is relatively common, despite what hentai would have us believe, to the best of my knowledge, being conceived in a hospital is not. Granted, that could be partially due to the high price of hospital stays. Are you sure the email said he was her father and not her daddy? Oh, I love dum-dums that try to be clever. I work at a dentist's and we have a policy of 3x failed to attend, late cancellations within 48 hours. Unless a genuine, one-off, emergency like being rushed to the hospital, known traffic issues, and you are at risk of losing NHS placement, which are impossible to get now, or fine pay for long private treatments that are missed, such as seeing the hygienist. We have many people who are notorious for leaving too late, bad child care arrangements and putting off treatments. Some of the worst in attitude on the phone are those canceling late, being told that they have to pay for the hygienist appointment they missed. One lady we had on file who has lots of FTAs historically, who somehow only just managed to stay in the books, had paid for cancelled appointments in the past, kept trying to avoid treatment but then rebooking when in pain and needing it. She called up 3 minutes before her hygiene appointment saying she was still stuck in a traffic jam the past 20 minutes just on the outskirts of town, so she would have to cancel as not making it in. Her mobile was running low, so she would rebook another time. She was calling from her house phone according to the display on our phones 2 towns over. I would ban the boyfriend for the hospital for trying to impersonate the father. So like, were they going at it or just lying together? I've slept in the hospital bed with my GF a bunch of times and nobody minded. When I was doing clinicals as a paramedic student, the nurse had me describe the different EKG rhythms I was seeing on the nurse's station monitor. One EKG was consistently bradycardic. All of a sudden, the heart rate goes from about 50 to 90 and stays there. Nurse exclaims, "Not again." I watch her march to the patient's room and drag out the patient's boyfriend. I'd go crazy with open door policies. I can see where this is coming from, but permanently having to see the floor would make me stressed out. Do people not have self-control anymore? She's 18. Why did you contact her mom when there was no legal or medical reason to do so? Go in and tell the adult patient that someone is trying to interfere with her medical case and is impersonating her father, and that for her, the patient's safety, you are forwarding all information to the police. See, this is why I lied to the staff about my being her husband, not her father. I also never closed the door or the curtains or sent nastygrams. So I guess there's that, too. But then, I was pretty far from 18. Edit. Down votes from teenagers who think they're better than me. Clapping hands medium dark skin tone. Clapping hands medium dark skin tone. Clapping hands medium dark skin tone.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.